There's a moment when your body says stop, when your lungs burn, your arms shake, your heart screams that it's enough. Most people quit right there. They drop the weight, they walk away, they surrender to comfort. But what if you didn't? What if in that exact moment, when the pain rises, when your excuses roar, you gave yourself just one more rep? That single rep might not change your body overnight, but it changes something far greater. It rewires your mind. It redefines your limits. It builds a person who refuses to stop when life pushes back. This is the power of one more rep. And today, we're not just talking about training. We're talking about a way of living. A mindset that transforms ordinary days into extraordinary lives. Stay with me, because by the end, you'll never see enough the same way again. When comfort starts to feel like safety and challenge starts to feel like danger, you've arrived at lesson 1, the edge of comfort. There comes a moment when everything inside you whispers to stop. Not scream, not shout, just whisper. A quiet voice saying, that's enough. You've done well. You don't need to go further, and most of the time, you listen. You drop the weight. You slow the pace. You step back into the zone where everything feels safe, predictable, and easy. But here's the truth you already know in your bones. That voice isn't protecting you. It's holding you hostage. The edge of comfort is where the mind builds walls, invisible ones. It convinces you that pain is danger, that fatigue is failure, that the tremble in your body means you're about to break. But let me tell you something. Most of those signals are false alarms. They are not proof that you're done. They are proof that you're entering the place where change actually begins. The body still has more, but the mind doesn't trust it. Think about it. How many times have you stopped, not because you truly couldn't go on, but because it just felt uncomfortable? Because the burning in your chest told you to quit, even though your heart was still beating strong. Because your legs shook, even though they could still carry you forward. We confuse discomfort with danger, and that confusion keeps us from discovering who we really are. At the edge of comfort, you are standing in front of a doorway. On one side is the life you already know, the routines, the habits, the same level of strength, the same level of confidence. On the other side is transformation. But here's the hard part. The key to that door is pain. Not the pain that injures you, but the pain that stretches you. The one that feels like breaking, but is really the process of building. Growth doesn't happen when you're sitting in the warm glow of safety. Growth happens when you're trembling, uncertain, and your whole being is begging you to stop. It's in that exact moment, when the voice of comfort is loudest, that you decide what kind of person you are becoming. Do you step back into the shelter you already know, or do you take one step further into the fire? I want you to remember this. The limit you feel is almost never the true limit. Science even shows that your body can go much further than your brain allows. Your mind sets up alarms long before you've actually reached capacity. Why? Because the brain craves safety, survival, routine. It doesn't want risk. It doesn't want uncertainty. But you don't build a new life inside safety. You build it on the edge of risk, where every step feels unstable, where every choice feels heavier than the last. And if you think about your own life, the moments you're proudest of never came from comfort. They came from the times you pushed further than you thought you could, the conversations you were afraid to have, the challenges you wanted to avoid, the days when you carried weight you thought would crush you and somehow it didn't. Somehow you became stronger. This lesson is simple but brutal. If you want change, you have to meet the edge of comfort and step beyond it. You have to feel the tremble, hear the whisper, and still move forward. That is where the real limit lives, not where your mind tells you to stop, but one step past it. And when you cross that edge, you'll notice something powerful. The fear doesn't disappear, but it bends. The pain doesn't vanish, but it transforms. And suddenly, the impossible becomes possible. Not because it got easier, but because you refuse to obey the illusion of safety. The edge of comfort is not the end, it's the beginning. The moment you stop believing the lie of that's enough and discover that your strength, your resilience, your entire life is waiting just one step further. The hardest fights are the ones no one sees, the ones fought in your own head. That's lesson 2, the silent battle within. No one else can hear it, but you do. The voice, that small, steady whisper that tells you to stop. It doesn't come when things are easy. It doesn't show up when the weight is light or the road is smooth. It arrives in the hardest moments, the last few seconds, the final stretch. When every muscle is screaming and your chest feels like it's on fire, that's when it shows up. Calm, persuasive. You've done enough. Don't hurt yourself. Nobody will blame you if you quit. You know that voice. We all do. And here's the truth. That voice has been steering more of your life than you realize. It's the reason you put things off, the reason you stayed quiet when you wanted to speak, the reason you walked away when deep down you knew you had more to give. It hides behind logic and excuses, but its only mission is control. The silent battle within is not about your body, it's about your mind. You think you're fighting the weight, the run, the grind, but really you're fighting yourself. Every rep, every step, every struggle is a duel between who you are and who you're trying to become. And every time you choose one more rep, you are declaring war against that inner voice that has owned you for far too long. Let me tell you a fact. The human body can handle far more than the brain allows. Research shows your muscles can still perform long after your mind tells you to stop. That means most of the time when you quit, it wasn't your body giving out, it was your will. The voice inside convinced you that failure was imminent, so you surrendered before the truth had a chance to reveal itself. Think about how many dreams have died because of that whisper. How many chances you've left behind, not because you weren't capable, but because you believed the story your own mind was telling you. That's the cruelty of this battle. It's fought in silence and nobody sees it but you, which means nobody else can fight it for you. But here's the shift. Every time you do that one more rep, you prove the voice wrong. You strip it of its authority. You remind yourself that you are not a prisoner to excuses, that fear and fatigue may scream, but they do not decide. Each small victory rewires your identity. And slowly, you stop seeing yourself as someone who almost makes it, almost follows through, almost pushes hard enough. You become the person who keeps going. This isn't about perfection. It's about defiance. It's about refusing to let the weakest part of you dictate the direction of your life. Because when you silence that voice in training, you learn to silence it everywhere. In the moments where life demands resilience, when the world throws obstacles in your path, that same discipline will surface. The refusal to quit, the refusal to be owned by the whisper of defeat. The war is always with yourself. And the moment you realize that, everything changes. Because then you stop blaming the weight, the world, or other people. You see the real opponent. And once you see it clearly, you can finally win. And when you do, when you conquer that voice, it doesn't vanish. It'll come back tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. But each time it returns weaker. Each time you're stronger. And eventually, you stop being the person who listens. You don't feel pain because you're weak. You feel it because you're growing. That's our last lesson. Pain as proof of progress. Pain is a strange thing. It shows up the moment you start moving forward, the moment you try to change something about yourself, the moment you reach for more than what you've always had. It doesn't wait politely at the finish line. It greets you in the middle when you're sweating, shaking, questioning why you ever started. And in that moment, most people misread it. They think pain is punishment. They think it's their body's way of saying stop, their life's way of saying they don't belong here. But that isn't what pain really means. Pain is proof. Proof that you are breaking free from the patterns that once held you. Proof that you are entering territory your body and mind aren't used to. It's not the end. It's the beginning of something unfamiliar, something your old self never dared to touch. Let me tell you a fact. The muscle only grows when it's torn down first. The fibers literally break under stress. And while it feels like destruction, it's actually creation. That ache the next day, that sting in the moment, that's not failure, that's transformation in progress. But when you're in it, pain feels heavy. It feels like betrayal. Your chest is burning, your legs are cramping, your thoughts are screaming that this is dangerous. And sometimes, yes, pain can be a signal to stop. But most of the time, it's not the warning of destruction, it's the announcement of growth. The fire in your body is simply telling you, you are crossing into new ground. You are becoming someone you have never been before. Think about your life outside the gym, the heartbreak that shattered you, the loss that tore something out of you, the failure that made you feel like the floor had collapsed beneath your feet. It hurt. It was real pain. But look closely. Wasn't it those very moments that reshaped you? Wasn't it the ache that forced you to find resilience you didn't know you had? The same principle applies here. Pain is the forge. It burns away what is weak so that something stronger can emerge. When you push through one more rep, despite the sting, you're teaching yourself a new language. You're learning to see discomfort as evidence of progress instead of proof of defeat. And once you master that shift, everything changes. The burn no longer scares you, it excites you. The ache no longer feels like an ending, it feels like a doorway. Because you finally understand, if it doesn't challenge you, it cannot change you. The truth is, avoiding pain is what has kept you stuck. You stayed where it was comfortable, safe, predictable, but nothing grew there. Nothing ever will. The moment you embrace pain as the signal that you're moving in the right direction, you stop running from it and start leaning into it. That's where you break old cycles. That's where you shed the skin of who you were. So the next time it hurts, the next time everything inside begs you to quit, remember this: the pain is not punishment. It is the stamp of progress. It's your body and your mind carving out space for a stronger version of you. And when you finally reframe it that way, when you stop fearing it and start welcoming it, you'll realize something powerful. Pain is not the obstacle. Pain is the proof. And every time you endure it, you are not breaking down, you are breaking through.